Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Back with some more headlines here, starting off with what is going on here with Russia and Ukraine. Now, it's been years, right, since they've been going back and forth. And so now it's sort of just become like background information. But as things are starting to pick up with the involvement of UK, which they've been involved, but now it's, getting to the point where, as the headline says, Moscow warns it could target British military facilities in unprecedented statement. And so in the sense that the UK is getting a little too involved helping Ukraine, which Russia is perceiving that as the UK getting involved in the war. And if they get involved and they become potential targets and they get hit by Russia, then you got your Article 5 of NATO, and now you have a NATO-Russia, war, except now it's not just going to be Russia, because Russia also has allies. So there's some things that are picking up on there, important to keep our eyes on. Remember, Yahushua prophesied about this in Matthew, the 24th chapter, concerning wars and rumors of wars. Okay, it says here, from the very start of the Ukraine war, the United Kingdom has consistently been among Kiev's most open and ardent military supporters, time and time again transferring heavy weaponry, including cutting-edge long-range missiles like the Storm Shadow. At the start of this week, Britain announced it plans to provide Ukraine with classified technology to allow for the country's own manufacturing of the British/French designed Scalp air-launched cruise missile, which in the UK is known as the Storm Shadow. The Allies expect to set up a production line in Ukraine as soon as year's end, which is pretty close. And, it's interesting because it felt like the year just started, and here we are in the latter half of it. August is pretty much over, and then we're into what, September? Already, Ukraine has used its domestic-made and designed Neptune cruise missile to strike oil refineries and military sites deep inside Russian territory. Let's jump out here. It says, a domestic-made Scalp would present the likelihood of Ukraine then using this Western-designed missile to directly attack Russia. And Russia isn't going to sit there and just allow you to become a threat and then just call it a day. No. Which only increases the chances of an eventual Moscow-NATO clash. Ukrainian forces already appeared to have used the missile on Donetsk and other locations closer to the front lines in Donbass. On Thursday, the Kremlin has issued one of its strongest warnings and threats aimed at London to date. Now, because these nations they issue so many warnings, right? So many words to try and deter escalation. It may just sound like another one of those warnings, but the Lord does that as part of controlling the pace of prophecy. Because if on the first attack they were to just up and say, yeah, you're done, boom, we're gonna hit Ukraine and we're gonna blow up some shit in the UK, you're gonna have a speeding up of, because then you got NATO getting involved, and it's gonna escalate very, very quickly. These things can escalate very, very quickly, right? So the Lord is controlling the pace of prophecy, and that's why you'll see they issue more warnings than they do taking severe action. Sometimes they don't act directly or immediately on those warnings they issue. All right, but even for them, you got to keep in mind that as a nation, you understand the casualties and the severity of war and what it comes with. So no nation just wants to get up and say, all right, unless you Esau Edom, and say, all right, we're just going to go and escalate this thing, because they know even if they were to win, how damaging that would be on them and the rest of the world. See? But nonetheless, it's the threat they issued here. So it says they accused the UK of fully taking part in the war on Kiev's side, and thus thwarting any chance of peace talks while adding fuel to the fire. Moscow is now saying that the UK's own military facilities could become fair game for direct attacks. And that is where you have the danger zone. Okay. Kremlin spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said in a Thursday press briefing, "We have repeatedly warned that the response to Ukrainian strikes using British weapons against Russian territory could be directed against any British military facilities and equipment in Ukraine and beyond." Okay, so they're saying, look, you keep playing this game, you playing with fire, you're gonna get burned. Zakharova urged all residents in the United Kingdom to think about the inevitable, catastrophic consequences of the hostile steps taken by their own authorities. Now, the next article, the next headline I have here is concerning judgment, right? Concerning this flood slash, I mean, it was just, I'll play the video and you can take a look. But even this, in this video, what you're going to see does not compare to what the day of the Lord is going to be like. And that judgment in there was, you had people running as fast as they could, but you can't outrun situations like that. And the devastation was crazy. So it says, glacier wall collapse may have sparked deadly flash flood that swallowed Nepal-Tibet border crossing. And I'm just going to try to find, I don't think this is going to give me what I'm looking for here. Let's see. Yeah, no. Let's pause that. And let's look at this one. Look at that. Damn. All swallowed up. Just like that. Now imagine that was a sea of fire or a lake of fire. And what's interesting about these things is that, like, these are buildings, cities, communities, like huge buildings, and nature makes it look like Legos, you know, when it just like sweeps past it. And that is all controlled by the Lord. So when we talk about the judgment of the Lord, man, people don't get it. They don't see it, but they will. They will. Because this is all the Lord is doing it. And don't get it twisted. It's not, you have some people that say, oh, but why didn't God stop it? No. It ain't about why didn't God stop it. It happened because he caused it to happen. That's why you fear the Lord. Let's see what else we got here. Look at this. Imagine being on the receiving end of something like this. Looking at that. How are you going to escape something like this? You can't outrun it. And once again, this isn't going to compare to the day of the Lord, the destruction, the devastation that the day of the Lord is going to come with. Okay? So that's going to be that's why the scriptures say the remnant were affrighted and gave glory. Those that are delivered, Lord willing, as us, even from the chariots looking down, you're going to see like, damn, yo, my gosh, like, this is crazy. You know, it's crazy. Let's take a look at this. Look at them. They're all running. And even with a head start, look. Like, where are you going to go? Boom. Gone. Swallowed up. That's it. And it doesn't matter how fast you run or where you try. You're not escaping that. That's the judgment of the Lord. You can't escape the judgment of the Lord. And just move. There you go. So people start running. Things start shaking. or the breaking is from the actual video itself. And then here comes the judgment. And that's a scary thing, man. That's why you fear the Lord. So even looking at this is like, yo, water just consumed all that. You know, whatever that body of liquid was, it just consumed all that just like that. Imagine what it was like during the flood. During Noah's flood. Let's take a look at this. See that? You don't escape that. You know, you don't escape that. That's the judgment of the Lord. Let's see what else they got here. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. This one goes to X. Not AI. Entire infrastructure in China's Jirong swept away in seconds by powerful mudslide. There we go. That's what it was, a mudslide. Look at this. Now imagine instead of mud, it's fire. And these buildings, you see how big these buildings are? In the previous video we watched, there was a bridge that got swept away. Bridges are strong. Like they hold, imagine how many cars are moving on a bridge at the same time. Right? Like even cars just stationary on a bridge is like heavy. That's a lot of load. Let alone them moving at fast speeds, buses, trucks, you know, heavy 18-wheelers. And the bridge is sturdy enough to hold those up. And yet that bridge just got broken up and swept away just so easily. That's the devastation. So if you don't have the fear of the Lord, go watch some videos like this. You'll start to get it. This is Zephaniah 3 and 5. The just Lord Yahweh is in the midst thereof. And that's, hey, we're grateful that the Lord is just, because with the power and the majesty that he has, if he wasn't just, oh man, yeah, we'd all be cooked. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. So the good thing is he is all powerful, but if you do what you're supposed to do in serving him, then you good. If you're an Israelite, you know, but then you good, you set. So at least, you know, the Lord is calculated and you know, okay, I'm not going to win against the Lord. The way I win is to not be against the Lord. Right? As it says, every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. Now, just like we're looking at this video here, you got people running around. Let me go back to the video. All right, this right here, you got people running around and so on. And it came so suddenly. Imagine how they felt in Sodom and Gomorrah, right, in the neighboring cities, when all of a sudden fire and brimstone starts coming down upon them. And to them, it's sudden. But to us, we have the backstory. When you read the book of Genesis, you see that, no, the wickedness, the cry of that place was great. It went up to the heavens. The Lord sent angels down to confirm it. And this was what their daily life was like. This was the inner wicked workings they were doing. And that finally resulted in them being judged. And then you get to the part about the fire and brimstone coming down upon them. See? So today, people don't get the backstory. You don't get the details. You don't get the councils in the heavens and what's going on and why this mudslide would seem like it came out of nowhere and just like swooped and killed all these people. But if you did have it, you would understand, what were they doing? You know, maybe you had this person doing this. The Lord didn't like it, so he had them all here at this time. Maybe somebody was supposed to be in this area, but then the Lord had something happen that seems unfortunate, but it caused them not to be here, and then they got delivered. Hey, you never know. But remember that, as the scripture said, it is the just Lord, and these are his judgments. And this is nothing to the Lord. So what do you think is going to be like when the judgment the Lord is bringing, even he put it into the minds of the prophets to say that this is going to be a time like never before? Think about that. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.